I'm standing in Marcus's apartment when my phone buzzes. It's 11:47 a.m. on a Sunday in November, and Jake's name lights up the screen. I did it. 3:42:18. Where are you? Can't find you in the crowd. Everyone's asking about you. There's a photo attached. Jake at the finish line of the Seattle Marathon, hands on his knees, chest heaving, medal around his neck. His face is flushed red, hair plastered to his forehead with sweat. Behind him, I can see the Gasworks Park skyline. Other runners wrapped in those silver thermal blankets, and a crowd of people holding signs. I'm reading this while wearing Marcus's Sonic Youth t-shirt. I can hear the espresso machine grinding in his kitchen. The fancy La Marzocco he told me about during my visits to Analog Coffee, the one he saved for 8 months to buy. There's music playing softly from his vintage record player, something indie and melancholic that I don't recognize. Jake just ran 26.2 miles. He's been training for 18 months, every morning at 5:30 a.m., alarm buzzing in the dark. Every weekend, longer and longer runs while I slept in. Every night, stretching on the living room floor, foam rolling his IT bands, icing his knees. He talked constantly about seeing my face at mile 26, how that would get him through the pain. While Jake was running, I was here, making this choice. I didn't know about the ring. I learned that later, when he came home still wearing his medal, when he showed me the velvet box from his running belt. A $12,000 ring, custom designed, white gold with a sapphire because I told him once that diamonds felt cliché. I didn't know about the photographer he'd hired. The banner her mother made, she said yes, with our photos printed on it, ready to unfurl the moment I appeared in the crowd. I didn't know his parents drove up from Portland, that my mom came from Olympia, that he'd queued up Florence plus the Machine's Cosmic Love on a portable speaker because it's my favorite song. I didn't know any of that while I was choosing Marcus's futon over Jake's finish line. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I became this person. I met Jake when I was 20, senior year at UW. He was 25, 3 years into his job at Amazon, already pulling down 6 figures as a software engineer. I was waitressing at a Capitol Hill bar called the Pine Box, trying to finish my communications degree while living in a moldy apartment with 3 roommates. He came in one Thursday night with coworkers, tech guys in their Amazon badges, talking too loud about React frameworks and sprint planning. I expected him to be like the rest of them, entitled, assuming I'd be charmed by his salary and stock options. But Jake was different. He asked about my major, listened when I talked about wanting to work in social media marketing, left a 40% tip and his number on the receipt with a note. Only if you want to. No pressure. I texted him the next day. Our first date was coffee at Victrola, then walking around Volunteer Park. November, like now. Leaves everywhere. That Seattle drizzle that's not quite rain. He told me about growing up in Portland, his parents who immigrated from Taiwan, his younger sister who was pre-med at OHSU. He asked questions. Real questions. Not the performative kind that guys ask while waiting for their turn to talk. What do you actually want to do? He asked. Not what sounds impressive. What would make you excited to wake up in the morning? I told him the truth, that I wanted to help small businesses tell their stories online. That I loved the strategy of it, figuring out what makes people care, how to make someone stop scrolling and actually pay attention. That's specific, he said. Most people our age just say they want to do something creative. Are you saying I'm not like other girls? I teased. He laughed. I'm saying you know what you want. That's rare. The thing is, at 20, I thought I did know what I wanted. I wanted stability. I wanted someone responsible, someone who had his shit together, someone who could make me feel safe after years of chaos. My dad leaving when I was 12, my mom's string of terrible boyfriends, growing up never knowing if we'd make rent. Jake was safety. Jake was certainty. Jake was the opposite of every unreliable man I'd ever known. He helped me study for finals that December, quizzed me on marketing terminology while I stress ate Thai food in his Capitol Hill apartment. A one-bedroom that felt enormous compared to my shared house, with real furniture and art on the walls and a kitchen that didn't have fruit flies. When I graduated, he took me to Canlis, wore a suit, told me he was proud of me. His hand was steady when he raised his wine glass. To Ashley Martinez, BA in Communications, the smartest person I know. I felt like I'd won something. Like I'd finally gotten the good ending after a childhood of bad ones. We moved in together that summer. His lease was up, and it made financial sense. Why pay for two places when I was sleeping at his apartment 5 nights a week anyway? He made enough to cover most of the rent on a nicer place. I'd contribute what I could from my new job as a social media coordinator at a boutique marketing agency in Belltown. The apartment was perfect. Capitol Hill, walking distance to everything, hardwood floors, big windows, a balcony where we'd drink coffee on rare, sunny mornings. His name on the lease, his furniture, his dishes. But he never made me feel like it wasn't mine too. "It's our place," he'd say when I worried about contributing enough. "We're a team." For 2 years, we were good, really good. We had routines. Sunday morning dim sum in the ID, Wednesday trivia nights at a bar in Pike Street. We had a team name, the Quizmasters, and we won maybe 30% of the time. Friday movie nights, taking turns picking. He'd sit through my rom-coms without complaint. I'd try to stay awake during his sci-fi. His coworkers became our friends. We'd go to their dinner parties, their weddings, their housewarming parties in Bellevue and Redmond. Everyone was pairing off, settling down, talking about down payments and mortgage rates. I was 22. Everyone around me was 27, 30, 33. "You're so mature for your age," Jake's friend David told me once, at a dinner party where everyone else was discussing 401k allocations. "Most girls your age are still figuring themselves out." I smiled and nodded. Didn't mention that I had no idea how to figure myself out when I was so busy being the version of Ashley that fit into Jake's life. Don't misunderstand. I loved him. I did. He was kind and supportive and present. When I got promoted to social media manager at 22, he bought champagne and made reservations at Altura. When I got anxious about work, he'd rub my shoulders and remind me how good I was at my job. "You're going to run your own agency someday," he'd say. "I know it." He believed in me more than I believed in myself. But somewhere around year 2, I started feeling like I was wearing a costume, playing house, being the girlfriend of a successful software engineer, attending Amazon events, smiling at his manager, making small talk with other tech girlfriends and wives who all seemed so comfortable in this world. I was 22, making $48,000 a year, living in an apartment I couldn't afford on my own, dating a man who had his retirement fully planned, and I started feeling like I couldn't breathe. Then Jake decided to run a marathon. It was February, 18 months before that November morning. We were having dinner at home. He'd made poke bowls, perfectly proportioned, salmon he'd bought from the good fish market on Capitol Hill. When he brought it up, "I'm thinking about signing up for Seattle," he said. "The marathon. It's in November. That gives me 9 months to train." "That's amazing," I said, and I meant it. "You've been talking about it forever." He had been. Since I met him, he'd run casually. 5 miles here, 10 miles there. Half marathons sometimes. But a full 26.2 had always been his white whale. "I found this training plan," he continued, pulling up his phone. 18 weeks, but I want to build a base first. So really, it's 18 months of preparation. He showed me the spreadsheet he'd created. Every run color-coded, easy runs in green, tempo runs in yellow, long runs in red, rest days in gray. "You made a spreadsheet," I said. "Of course I made a spreadsheet," he grinned. That boyish grin that made him look younger than 28. How else would I track progress? I loved that grin. I also felt something else. Something I couldn't name yet. "It's going to take up a lot of time," he said. "Especially on weekends. Long runs get pretty long. Like 3 hours long by the end? I wanted to make sure you're okay with that." "Of course," I said. I'm excited for you. And I was excited. For him, for his goal, for his discipline and dedication. I just didn't realize how alone I'd feel. The training consumed him. Not in a bad way. He never neglected me, never canceled plans, never made me feel unimportant. But there was a new center to his world, and it wasn't us anymore. 5:30 a.m. alarms. The sound of him moving quietly through the dark apartment, trying not to wake me. The front door clicking shut. The silence of the empty bed. Weekend mornings that used to be ours. Coffee, breakfast, wandering Capitol Hill, Pike Place Market, Discovery Park became his long-run days. I'll be back by noon, he'd say, kiss my forehead, already in his running clothes and GPS watch. Want to grab lunch after? But by the time he got back, showered, stretched, iced, foam rolled, it was 2 p.m., and he was tired, understandably. He'd just run 15 miles, 17 miles, 20 miles. Let's just order in, he'd say. I'm wiped. So we'd spend Saturday afternoons on the couch, him recovering, me scrolling Instagram, seeing my college friends at breweries, concerts, spontaneous road trips to the coast. I told myself I was being supportive, that 9 months wasn't forever, that this was what you did when you loved someone. You supported their goals even when it was inconvenient. I told myself I wasn't lonely. I was 22 years old, and I was so fucking lonely. Analog Coffee opened in May, 8 months before the marathon. It was new, one of those aggressively hip coffee shops with exposed brick and Edison bulbs and single-origin pour-overs that took 8 minutes to make. Walking distance from our apartment. I started going every morning before work because their oat milk lattes were perfect, and because it was something that was mine. That's where I met Marcus. He was working the morning shift. 25, undercut fade, tattoos up both arms, wearing a faded band t-shirt under his apron. The kind of guy I would have dated in college. The kind of guy who looked like he'd never made a spreadsheet in his life. Oat milk latte? He asked on my third visit. You remembered? You're here every day. He smiled. Plus, you have good taste. Everyone else orders those disgusting vanilla drinks. He wrote a smiley face on my cup. It was nothing. Baristas do that. It didn't mean anything. But I thought about that smiley face all day. I came back the next morning. And the next. Soon, we were having conversations. Small talk at first, weather, neighborhood gossip, complaints about Capitol Hill parking. Then longer conversations when the morning rush died down. I learned he'd moved to Seattle from Portland 2 years ago. That he played bass in an indie band called Velvet Machine. That he was figuring things out, which seemed to mean working at Analog, playing shows, not worrying about the future. Don't you want, like, a career plan? I asked him once. Why? He was wiping down the espresso machine, completely unconcerned. I'm 25. I have time to be boring later. I was 23. I already felt boring. Jake's training intensified as summer arrived. 6 months until the marathon. His spreadsheet grew more complex. His rest days were sacred. His long runs got longer. 20 miles on Saturday, he told me in August. That's the peak of training. After that, I taper. That's amazing, I said. You're really doing it. Couldn't do it without you, he said, kissing my temple. Thanks for being patient with all this. But I wasn't being patient. I was being absent, mentally, emotionally absent, because by August, I was texting Marcus every day. It started innocently. He'd given me his number to let me know when they got the fancy single-origin Ethiopian beans I liked. Just customer service. But then we were texting about other things. Music recommendations, complaints about our days, stupid memes. He'd send me songs at midnight. Listening to this and thought of you. I'd lie in bed next to Jake, who was asleep by 10 p.m. because he had a long run in the morning, and listen to Marcus's songs with my earbuds in. Indie rock I'd never heard of. Lyrics about wanting to feel alive, about breaking free, about not settling for safety. I told myself we were just friends. I told myself it didn't mean anything that my heart jumped when I saw his name on my phone. I told myself I wasn't doing anything wrong. In September, Marcus's band had a show at Barboza. He'd mentioned it casually while making my latte. "You should come," he said, "if you're not busy." Jake was tapering. 3 weeks until the marathon. He was in bed by 9 p.m. every night, protecting his legs, staying fresh. "I'm going to meet some friends for drinks," I told Jake that Saturday night. Not entirely a lie. I was meeting someone at a place that served drinks. "Have fun," Jake said from the couch where he was stretching his hip flexors. "Don't stay out too late. I want to show you the marathon route tomorrow. Take you to the finish line at Gasworks so you know where to stand." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. I wore the black dress Jake liked, put on makeup, told myself I was just supporting local music. Barboza was packed. Dark, loud, bodies everywhere. I found a spot near the back, ordered a gin and tonic I didn't really want. The first 2 bands were forgettable. Then Velvet Machine took the stage. Marcus looked different up there. Confident, alive, his fingers moving on the bass, completely absorbed in the music. The band was actually good, not Seattle famous good, but good enough that people were dancing, heads nodding, phones out recording. Between songs, he scanned the crowd, found me, smiled. That smile felt like falling. After the set, I went outside for air. Capitol Hill at midnight, people smoking, laughing, living lives that felt nothing like mine. I was thinking about leaving, going home to Jake, to safety, to the life I'd chosen. Then Marcus came out the side door. "You came," he said. "You were really good." "Really good? That's the best you got?" He was teasing, standing too close, smelling like beer and cigarette smoke even though I'd never seen him smoke. "Okay, you were incredible. The whole band was incredible. Better." He lit a cigarette, offered me one. I don't smoke, but I took it anyway. "Thanks for coming. It's cool having someone here who's not just a drunk Pike Pine regular." We stood there, smoking in comfortable silence. I should have left. Should have said, "Great show," and gotten an Uber home. Instead I said, "I didn't know you smoked." "I don't really. Just after shows. Adrenaline, you know? Gotta do something with it." He looked at me. Really looked at me. Not the way Jake looked at me. Familiar, comfortable, safe. The way you look at something you might want. "You want to get out of here?" he asked. "There's a diner on Broadway. They have terrible coffee but great fries." I should have said no. I said yes. We sat in the diner until 2 a.m., talking about everything. His childhood in Portland, growing up poor, his dad who drank too much, his mom who left when he was 14. My childhood, my own absent father, the years of instability. "You get it," he said. "Most people don't get it. They think you can just, process your trauma and move on, but it shapes you. Makes you scared of being stuck." "I'm not scared of being stuck," I said automatically. He raised an eyebrow. "Your boyfriend's a software engineer. You live in Capitol Hill. You have a good job. You're 23 living like you're 35. That's not fair. Jake is great, I'm sure." Marcus ate a fry. "I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying you don't seem happy." "I am happy." "Okay." But his okay said he didn't believe me. And the worst part was, I didn't believe me either. Jake picked me up at 10 a.m. the next morning to show me the marathon route. He drove us to Gasworks Park, describing every mile where the hills were, where he'd need to see me most. "Mile 26, he said, standing at the finish line, the Space Needle visible across the water. "That's where you'll be. Right here. When I see your face, I'll know I made it." He pulled me close, kissed the top of my head. He smelled like the lavender detergent he used. Like home, like safety. 2.5 weeks, he said. Then this crazy journey is over, and I'll have so much more time for us. I'm sorry I've been so consumed by this. "Don't apologize," I said. "I'm proud of you." I was proud. I was also thinking about Marcus, about sitting in that diner, about the way he saw through me, about how I wanted to see him again. The first time I went to Marcus's apartment was on a Wednesday in October, 3 weeks before the marathon. He texted me, "New beans came in. Want to try them? I can make you a proper pour-over after my shift." I should have said no, should have recognized this for what it was. But I told myself it was just coffee. Friends getting coffee. I had friends. Except, we weren't friends. His apartment was exactly what I expected. Studio in Capitol Hill, probably $1,200 a month, instruments everywhere, futon that doubled as a couch, dishes in the sink, posters on the walls. 25 years old, captured in physical space. It should have been unappealing. Compared to my apartment with Jake, our apartment with its grown-up furniture and stocked fridge and art from actual galleries, this should have felt like a downgrade. Instead, it felt like possibility. Sorry about the mess, he said, moving a guitar off the futon. I'm not great at the whole domestic thing. It's nice, I said. It feels lived in. He made the coffee with intense focus, heating water to exact temperature, blooming the grounds, pouring in careful circles. The same precision Jake brought to his marathon training, but directed at something immediate and simple. Okay, he said, handing me the mug. Tell me what you taste. I sipped. It was good. Bright, fruity, complex. Blueberry, I guessed. Something citrus? Yeah, exactly. Ethiopian Yirgacheffe. Most people can't taste the notes. Most people haven't been drinking your coffee for 6 months. Most people aren't you. The air changed. We both felt it. The moment where we could laugh it off, pivot to something safer, maintain plausible deniability. We didn't laugh it off. Ashley, he said quietly, why are you here? For the coffee. Bullshit. He was right. It was bullshit. I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know what I'm doing. Do you love him? Your boyfriend? Jake. His name is Jake. Okay. Do you love Jake? I did. I did love Jake. He was good and kind and stable and everything I should want. Yes, I said. But you're here, Marcus finished. He didn't kiss me. Not then. He just sat next to me on the futon, close enough that our knees touched. And we drank coffee and listened to records and talked about nothing important. I left at 8 p.m. Jake was home when I got back, foam rolling his quads. Where were you? He asked. Not suspicious, just curious. Grabbed drinks with Jenna from work. First lie. Fun. I made salmon for dinner. Yours is in the fridge. He'd made me dinner. While I was at another man's apartment, Jake had made me dinner. I ate the salmon. It was perfect. It tasted like guilt. The second time I went to Marcus's apartment was 2 days later. Then 3 days after that. Then I was going twice a week, 3 times a week, always with excuses. Working late, drinks with Jenna, yoga class I joined, happy hour with college friends. Jake never questioned it. Why would he? He trusted me completely. We hadn't crossed any physical line yet, but we were living in the space right before. The space where everything was still technically innocent, but we both knew where this was going. Marcus would play me songs on his bass. I'd sit on his futon, watching his hands, feeling something I hadn't felt since I was 19. That electric possibility, that sense that anything could happen. You should leave him, Marcus said one evening, 2 weeks before the marathon. Not for me, just for you. You're not happy. You don't know that. I do know that. You're here instead of with him. He's tapering. He goes to bed at 9 p.m. Ashley. Marcus put down his bass. Stop making excuses. I'm not. You're 23 years old. You're living like you're 40. Safe job, safe relationship, safe life. When do you get to be 23? Being 23 doesn't mean blowing up your life. Doesn't it though? Isn't that the point? Make mistakes now while they're not permanent? Except they were permanent. I just didn't know it yet. The line got crossed the following week, 1 week before the marathon. I went to Marcus's apartment after work. Jake was at a dinner with his running group, final carb loading strategy, race day planning, comparing their training. He'd be home by 9 p.m. Marcus opened the door, already holding a beer. Rough day? Why do you assume I had a rough day? Because you texted me, I need a drink with 6 exclamation points. I had done that. We sat on his futon, drank beer. He played records, some obscure post-punk band I'd never heard of. We talked about my day, my boss who didn't appreciate my ideas, my sense that I was wasting my talent on a company that didn't care. So quit, Marcus said. Start freelancing? You're good enough. I need stability. You need stability? Or Jake needs you to need stability? That's not fair. I'm not trying to be fair. I'm trying to be honest. He looked at me. I looked at him. The same charged air from the first visit, except this time there was nothing stopping us. Tell me to stop, he said quietly. I didn't tell him to stop. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't pull away. When his lips touched mine, I tasted beer and something else, something that felt like freedom and terrible choices, and the end of everything safe. We both knew what was happening. We both knew what I was choosing. It wasn't just kissing. It went further than that, though the details don't matter. The betrayal wasn't in the specifics of what we did. It was in the fact that I did it at all. I got home at 10:30 p.m. Jake was asleep, his phone alarm set for 5:30 a.m. He had a final 15-mile run before race week tapering. I took a shower, stood under hot water, trying to wash away the evidence of my choice. But you can't wash away that kind of betrayal. It lives in you, changes your molecular structure. I got into bed next to Jake. He stirred, pulled me close. Love you, he mumbled, half asleep. Love you too, I whispered. And I meant it. That's the thing people don't understand. I meant it. Race week. Jake was a bundle of nervous energy and forced calm. He'd tapered perfectly, his training spreadsheet complete, every run executed according to plan. Just 5 easy miles tomorrow, he said Monday night. Then rest Wednesday and Thursday. Just a 20-minute shakeout on Friday. Then race day. He kept talking about seeing me at the finish line, about how that moment would make everything worth it. 18 months of training, he said Wednesday night, all for that moment when I see your face and know I did it. I nodded, smiled, died inside. I'd been to Marcus's apartment 3 times that week. Jake was so focused on resting, eating right, staying off his feet. He went to bed early every night, and I'd wait until he was asleep, then text Marcus. Come over, Marcus would respond. I'm working on a new song. So I'd go. I'd tell myself each time it was the last time, that after the marathon, I'd figure out what I wanted, that I just needed to get through Sunday. Saturday afternoon, the day before the race, Jake was foam rolling in the living room. I was on the couch, pretending to read, actually texting Marcus. Big day tomorrow, Jake said. I can't believe it's finally here. You're going to be amazing. Will you come to the expo with me? I need to pick up my bib. So we went to the Marathon Expo. Thousands of runners, everyone excited, nervous, comparing training stories. Jake picked up his bib, number 10,847, and his race shirt. He kept his hand in mine the whole time. Next year, we should both do it, he said. We could train together. Maybe, I said. We got dinner at our favorite ramen place. Jake ordered extra protein, last big carb load before tomorrow. He talked about his goal time, sub 3:45, his strategy for the hills, his plan to start conservative. The ring, Jake said suddenly. What? I keep forgetting. I need to move your ring from my nightstand to somewhere safe. I don't want you finding it randomly. My ring. I'd forgotten. We talked vaguely about getting engaged. Someday, eventually, when I was ready. You bought a ring? Months ago. He grinned. Don't worry. You're not finding it. It's hidden well. I forced a smile. Felt my stomach drop. We went home. Jake was in bed by 8:30 p.m. He set 3 alarms, 4:45 a.m., 5 a.m., 5:15 a.m. Race started at 7 a.m. He wanted to get there early, settle his nerves, use the bathroom multiple times, get in his corral. I love you, he said, kiss me goodnight. Thanks for doing this with me. This whole journey. Couldn't have done it without you. I love you too. He fell asleep almost immediately. I lay there in the dark, listening to him breathe. My phone buzzed. Marcus. You awake? Me. Yeah. Marcus. Come over. Last night before you're stuck at a marathon all day? I should have stayed in bed. Should have been there when Jake's alarm went off at 4:45 a.m. Should have made him breakfast, kissed him goodbye, told him I'd see him at Gasworks Park. Instead, I waited until midnight. until I was sure Jake was deeply asleep. Then I got up quietly, got dressed, grabbed my keys. I went to Marcus's apartment. I got home at 3 a.m., 4 hours before the race started. Jake was still asleep. I set an alarm for 5 a.m. I'd wake up, pretend I'd been there all night, make him breakfast before his race. But I didn't hear the alarm. Or maybe I did and turned it off in my sleep. When I finally opened my eyes, it was 7:15 a.m. Jake was gone. There was a note on the nightstand. Didn't want to wake you. See you at the finish line. I love you. Jay. The race had started 15 minutes ago. I should have gotten up immediately. Should have showered, gotten dressed, taken an Uber to Gasworks Park, found my spot in the crowd. Instead, I looked at my phone. Marcus had texted at 6:30 a.m. Coffee? And I made a choice. The worst choice. The one I can't take back. I texted back, yeah, your place? Marcus. Doors unlocked. I'm still in bed. I got dressed. Left the apartment. Walked 3 blocks to Marcus's building while somewhere downtown, Jake was running mile 3, mile 4. His GPS watch tracking every step. The ring in his running belt. That's where we started. Marcus's apartment at 11:47 a.m. when Jake's text arrived. I did it. 3:42:18. Where are you? Can't find you in the crowd. I was on Marcus's futon wearing his t-shirt. He was in the kitchen making coffee with that La Marzocco, humming something, completely unconcerned with my unraveling. My phone rang. Jake calling. I didn't answer. Text from my mom. Where are you? Jake finished. He's looking everywhere for you. Everyone's here? Everyone was there. My mom, his parents, his sister, his running group friends, the photographer, the banner. My phone kept buzzing. Calls from Jake, from my mom, from Jake's sister, Emily, who I'd always gotten along with. Emily's text. Ashley, where the hell are you? Jake is freaking out. He has something important to tell you. I need to go, I told Marcus. He looked at me from the kitchen. What's wrong? Jake finished his marathon. I was supposed to be there. Oh shit. But he didn't sound that concerned. That's rough. You should probably head out then. That's when I realized Marcus didn't care. Not really. I was just a fun distraction. Someone to hang out with, sleep with, pass time with. While I was destroying my entire life, he was just having a casual weekend. Yeah, I said quietly. I should go. I got dressed. He didn't try to stop me. Didn't say, when will I see you again, or text me later, or anything that suggested this mattered to him. See you around, he said, already back to making his coffee. I walked home. 3 blocks that felt like 3 miles. It was a beautiful November day. Crisp, clear. The kind of Seattle day that feels like a gift. Perfect marathon weather. Jake wasn't home yet. I tried calling him. He didn't answer. I paced the apartment, looked at his training spreadsheet on the fridge, every run color-coded and checked off. 18 months of discipline and dedication, culminating in today, the day I wasn't there for him. At 2:15 p.m., I heard his key in the lock. He came through the door, still in his race clothes. The metal around his neck. Those silver thermal blankets wrapped around his shoulders. His face was red, his hair sweaty, his eyes hollow. He looked at me. Didn't say anything at first. Jake, I said. I'm so sorry, Where were you? I overslept. I didn't hear my alarm. I'm so sorry. I know that's not... I called you 14 times. I know. I'm sorry. He stood there in our entryway. Our apartment. His apartment. The one I'd moved into, but never really made mine. Then he reached into the small pocket of his running belt. Pulled out a blue velvet box. I ran 26.2 miles with this, he said quietly. He opened it. A ring. White gold. Blue sapphire. Exactly what I'd always said I wanted. Back when I thought I knew what I wanted. I had a photographer, he continued. His voice was eerily calm. At the finish line. And my parents drove up from Portland. Your mom came from Olympia. Emily took the day off work. My running group was all there. There was a banner. My stomach dropped. Jake. I had a whole thing planned. There was a speaker set up. That Florence song you love. Cosmic love. I was going to propose right there at the finish line, in front of everyone. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. My hamstring cramped at mile 18, he said. Worst pain I've felt in my life. Thought I might have to drop out, but I kept going because I knew you'd be there. At mile 23, my knees started giving out. Every step hurt, but I kept going because I was going to see your face at the finish line, and it would all be worth it. Jake, I'm so sorry. Where were you, Ashley? This was the moment I could have lied, could have said I overslept, that my phone died, that I had some emergency. He might have believed me, might have forgiven me. We could have moved past this, gotten engaged eventually, lived our safe life. But I was so tired of lying. I was with someone else, I heard myself say. The words hung in the air. I watched them land, watched his face change. Not anger, something worse. Realization, understanding, the death of trust in real time. How long? He asked. A few weeks. How long, Ashley? 2 months, maybe 3. He nodded slowly, closed the ring box, put it back in his running belt pocket. Who? It doesn't matter. Who? The barista from Analog Coffee. He laughed. Not a happy laugh. A broken sound. The barista. The fucking barista with the tattoos. I've seen you talking to him. Jake, were you with him this morning? While I was running? While I was carrying this ring, thinking about our future, were you with him? I couldn't answer. My silence was answer enough. He took off his medal, set it on the entry table. Then he took off his ring, the ring his parents gave him when he turned 25, his grandfather's ring that he wore every day, and put it next to the medal. I need you to leave, he said quietly. Jake, please. Ashley, I need you to leave right now. Pack a bag, whatever you can carry. Pack the rest later. But I need you out of this apartment right now, or I'm going to completely fall apart, and I don't want to do that in front of you. His voice cracked on the last words. I'd seen Jake cry before. When his grandmother died, when his team got laid off at Amazon and he felt survivor's guilt. But I'd never seen him look like this. Destroyed. Hollowed out. I love you, I said stupidly. No, you don't. Because if you loved me, you would have been there. That's what love is, Ashley. Showing up. That's literally all it is. I packed a bag. Jeans, shirts, laptop, toothbrush, the essentials, moved like a robot. Jake sat on the couch, still in his race clothes, staring at nothing. As I was leaving, I tried one more time. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I know why, he interrupted. You're 23. You're not ready for this, for any of this. And that's fine. But you should have told me. You should have broken up with me 6 months ago when you started feeling trapped instead of doing this. He was right. I should have. For what it's worth, I said, you're the best person I've ever known. That's not worth much right now. I left, went to Jenna's apartment. Actual Jenna, my coworker, whose name I'd been using as a cover. Told her everything. She let me stay on her couch, but I could see the judgment in her eyes. My phone buzzed all evening. My mom, furious. Jake's sister, calling me names I deserved. Jake's friends, one by one, blocking me on social media. Then Marcus texted, "Hey, want to come over?" And I realized he didn't know what I just destroyed. Didn't know about the proposal, the ring, the 18 months of training, the life I'd just blown up. He just wanted to hang out. I didn't respond. 2 days later, Marcus texted again, "You ghosting me?" Me. Jake and I broke up. Marcus. "Oh shit. You okay?" Me. "Not really." Marcus. "Want to talk about it?" We met for coffee. Different shop, not Analog. I told him everything. The marathon, the proposal, the ring, the complete destruction of my relationship. I expected sympathy, understanding. Maybe even for him to say he wanted to be with me, that we could make this real. Instead, he said, "Damn, that's heavy." Yeah. So what now? I don't know. I thought maybe... I don't know what I thought. He shifted uncomfortably. "Ashley, I like you. You're cool, but I thought we were just having fun. I didn't think you were going to leave your boyfriend for me. I didn't leave him for you. I left him because you're 23, and you wanted to feel something different. I get it. But I'm not looking for anything serious." I thought that was clear. It was clear. I'd just chosen not to see it. So that's it? I asked. I mean, we can still hang out, but yeah, I think that's it. I saw him on Instagram 2 weeks later. With another girl. Blue hair, nose ring, art student probably. His hand on her waist, both of them laughing at some Capitol Hill show. He'd moved on in 14 days. I moved out of Jenna's couch and into a studio apartment in Belltown. $1,400 a month, twice what I could reasonably afford on my $48,000 salary. But I couldn't ask Jake if I could stay until I found a place. Couldn't ask him for anything. He blocked my number, blocked me on all social media. His friends blocked me. His family blocked me. I was erased from his life in a week. I tried going back to our apartment, his apartment, to get my stuff. He'd already boxed it up, left it with the building manager. Efficient, even in heartbreak. Inside the boxes, my clothes, my books, my small things. Nothing broken, nothing thrown away, just carefully packed, like he'd packed everything else in his life. There was a note. Your name is off the lease. Final utilities split in your Venmo. Don't contact me again. No anger, no final confrontation, just done. The worst part wasn't losing Jake, though that was terrible. The worst part was discovering who I was. I'd always thought I was a good person, kind, thoughtful, worthy of love. But good people don't do what I did. Good people don't betray someone on the most important day of their life. Good people don't lie for months, don't maintain a double life, don't destroy someone who trusted them completely. I kept trying to understand my own choices, tried to find the narrative where I wasn't the villain, where I was just a young person who made mistakes, who felt suffocated, who needed to find herself. But there was no version of this story where I wasn't the villain. Jake ran 26.2 miles. He cramped at mile 18 and kept going. His knee gave out at mile 23, and he kept going. He carried a $12,000 ring in his running belt and planned a proposal and brought both our families to watch. And I was fucking a barista who didn't even want me. I found out through mutual friends, well, former mutual friends, that Jake started dating someone new 3 months later. Her name was Sophie. They met at his running group. I shouldn't have looked at her Instagram, but I did. Blonde, athletic, 27. A physical therapist. She ran marathons too. They'd run the Seattle half together, both wearing matching race shirts, holding hands at the finish line. In one photo, they were at Gasworks Park. The caption, training run with my favorite person. The same place Jake was going to propose to me. He looked happy, actually happy. Not just content or comfortable or stable, happy. I realized I never made him happy like that. I made him feel responsible for me, made him feel needed. But I'd never made him light up the way Sophie did in these photos. I'd wasted 3 years of his life. 3 years he could have spent with someone who actually showed up. 6 months after the marathon, I was still in my overpriced Belltown studio, still working the same job, still single, because everyone in Seattle's dating scene apparently knew my story. You're the marathon proposal girl, a guy told me on a first date. My friend knows Jake's sister. That was brutal what you did. There wasn't a second date. I couldn't go back to analog coffee, couldn't walk past Marcus serving lattes with that careless smile. So I started going to a different coffee shop, a generic Starbucks, where nobody knew me and the coffee was mediocre. I'd see couples sometimes, young couples, my age, holding hands, laughing, and I'd wonder if she'd show up for him, if she'd be there for his important moments, if she knew how lucky she was to have someone who cared. I'd see runners training on the Burke-Gilman Trail. Wonder if Jake was out there somewhere, running with Sophie, planning their future. I'd think about that ring, the white gold, the sapphire, the ring he ran 26.2 miles carrying. I wonder if he returned it, sold it, saved it for Sophie. I hoped he saved it for Sophie. My mom called occasionally. Our relationship was strained. She'd driven up from Olympia for that marathon, excited to see Jake achieve his goal, maybe expecting a surprise proposal based on his parents' knowing smiles. Instead, she'd stood there watching him search the crowd for my face, watching him realize I wasn't coming, watching his parents try to comfort him, watching the photographer pack up, watching the banner stay rolled up. "I don't understand you," she told me on one of our awkward phone calls. "Jake was good to you, better than any man I ever dated, better than your father. And you threw it away for what, a fling?" "I don't know, Mom." "You're just like your father," she said, "always chasing something new, never appreciating what you have." That hurt. It hurt because it might be true. I'm 24 now, still in the same studio, still at the same job, still alone. I went on a date last week. Nice guy, software engineer, probably makes good money. We got drinks at a Capitol Hill bar. "Have you been in Seattle long?" he asked. "A few years?" "Cool. I love this city. The running culture here is amazing. I just did the Seattle Marathon last month." My stomach dropped. "Oh yeah?" "Yeah, qualified for Boston. It was incredible. My girlfriend, well, now fiancé, was at the finish line. Proposed right there. She said yes." He showed me a photo on his phone. Him on one knee, her crying, happy tears, the Space Needle in the background. "That's beautiful," I managed. "Best day of my life." I went home after one drink, told him I wasn't feeling well. I saw Jake one more time, 3 months ago, at Pike Place Market. I was buying overpriced flowers for my empty apartment. He was there with Sophie, looking at produce, laughing at something she said. He looked healthy, happy, whole. He didn't see me. I made sure of it, ducked behind a flower stand until they passed. I wonder what would have happened if I'd been at that finish line. If I'd stayed in bed instead of going to Marcus's apartment. If I'd shown up. Jake would have proposed. I would have said yes, probably. We'd be engaged now, maybe married, planning our future. Maybe I'd be training for a half marathon with him. Maybe I'd be happy. Or maybe I'd still feel trapped. Maybe I would have said yes, and then spent years feeling suffocated, eventually doing something worse. Maybe blowing up the relationship when I was 23 was better than blowing it up when I was 30 with kids involved. I tell myself that sometimes. That I did the right thing at the wrong time, in the wrong way. But I don't believe it. The truth is simpler and uglier. I had something real and I destroyed it for something that wasn't real at all. I chose temporary excitement over lasting love. I chose a barista who didn't want me over a man who would have run through cramping hamstrings to propose to me. I made the wrong choice, the worst choice. And I have to live with that now. I'm the girl who betrayed during the marathon proposal. That's my story in Seattle's social circles. That's who I am. Not a good person who made mistakes. Not a young person figuring herself out. Just someone who destroyed a good man on the most important day of his life because I wanted to feel something different for a few hours. Jake deserved better. He got better. Sophie shows up. Sophie supports him. Sophie makes him happy. I threw away the best relationship I'll probably ever have for a guy who ghosted me after 2 weeks. That's who I am. I have to live with that knowledge forever. Some mistakes you don't recover from. Some choices you don't get to unmake. Some people you don't get back. This is mine. This is me. 24 years old, alone in an overpriced studio, drinking mediocre Starbucks coffee, watching other people's happiness from a distance. I destroyed something irreplaceable, and I have to live with that now. That's all there is to say.